Thank you, ma'am. Honorable Secretary General, honorable members of the BNP High Command sitting here, respected members of this audience, it's an honor for me to be here. I'm speaking in English just to make it convenient for our foreign friends sitting here. I can see gentlemen shaking his head. It would be very useful if they are directly afraid of the way the media has been victimized for over a decade in this country. When this country was created in 1971, there was this very powerful expectation that this would be an open society where there would be open voting pattern, an effective opposition, a powerful media. But unfortunately, right after our independence, and this excellent presentation, the paper in this book signifies, we gradually shifted towards a sense of one-party domination. This was not supposed to be so. When really President Ziaur Rahman came to power, he had always supported the idea of multi-party democracy, and he had always insisted on the freedom of the press. As I went through the pages of this very well-informed booklet, I cannot take the temptation to just quote a few sentences here. Yet, amidst the disillusionment stemming from Sheikh Mujib's regime misruled between 1972 and 75, a remarkable and momentous revolution unfolded, uniting both the people and the military in an unprecedented alliance in late 1975. This extraordinary uprising, famously known as the Sepoy Masses Revolution, reached its zenith in November 7, 1975, propelling their revered leader, President Ziaur Rahman, the embodiment of independence, to the forefront of state power. With his ascent, Ziaur Rahman gently engineered a framework that ensured active citizen participation in governance, reinstated a pluralistic democracy, and fervently championed the restoration of press freedom as an indispensable conduit for unrestrained expression. Equipped with an acute understanding of the nation's realities and the plight of its citizens, President Ziaur Rahman transformed into an enlightened statesman, resuscitating a ravaged nation and projecting a noble and dignified image of Bangladesh to the global stage. This is something, I just mentioned about President Zia because so often we hear ruthless lies about the fact that BNP is a party born in cantonment. What sort of, ridiculous humiliating language is that? Born cantonment or born outside the cantonment, the whole territory of Bangladesh belongs to we citizens of Bangladesh. And President Zia had come out to open the state to a pluralistic democracy. He perceived the idea of the Westminster model. And then when later on, when his very promising future generation rose to power, Begum Khaleda Zia, she continued the same policies. And there were tremendous, incentives for a vibrant multi-party democratic structure. The parliament was vibrant and the media enjoyed complete freedom. But unfortunately, what happened later on as this particular government came to power, again I will quote a few sentences. Regrettably, a segment of journalists and media personalities, for reasons that raise caution, had failed to acknowledge the great threat posed to their profession by Sheikh Hasina's authoritarian rule. They failed to anticipate the dire consequences that awaited them once the Awami League returned to power in 2009, and as the party's political rhetoric obscured its true allegiance to the one-party Bakshal ideology that it had harbored over the years. The government's central objective had been to muzzle the media through the enactment of repressive laws, such as the infamous Digital Security Act, which has been used to intimidate journalists, curtail freedom of expression, and stifle dissent. However, the government has recently declared to abolish the law due to pressure from the international community and civil society organizations. But the government again declared to adopt a new law in this regard, and yet not made it clear that what types of change the government is making, as well as denied to consult with the relevant stakeholders. So in short, the journey of Bangladesh's mass media since its emergence in the backdrop of the liberation war had been tumultuous, marked by moments of progress and setbacks. So as we have seen in current times, what are the obligations under our constitution, however distorted and manhandled it might have been? Under the ICCPPR, that is the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which Bangladesh ratified in 2000, Article 19 guarantees the right to freedom of expression, including the freedom of press. This provision establishes the right of individuals to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media platform. Additionally, the Geneva Covenant 34 of the Human Rights Committee, which oversees the implementation of ICCPR, reaffirms the importance of press freedom in a democratic society, emphasizing that any restrictions on this freedom must be provided by law, necessary and proportionate. As I read out these sentences, and as you have listened to the preceding speakers here, the way they almost burst into tears narrating the experiences of their, stay in the jail, and the lady who lost her father, you can imagine what sort of contrast this government has displayed compared to the commitments that have been made by Bangladesh in terms of international legal commitments. And if you look at the media, and if you look at the examples that we can cite to you, I just mention a few. Reports by both local and international human rights organizations indicate that numerous individuals, including journalists, have been subjected to arrests in recent years. Many have become victims of enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings, and other forms of repression during this period. So, in addition, you have these real dangerous tools of repression that exist today. The current regime in Bangladesh employs a wide range of tools and methods to exert control over free media and stifle independent journalism. These tactics include filing lawsuits against journalists, carrying out physical attacks, perpetrating enforced disappearances, targeting journalists' family members, manipulating media ownership, pressing journalists to relinquish their positions, causing them to lose their jobs, and in the most extreme cases, resorting to violence and murder. So, as I have mentioned to you, dear friends, this is not a normal democratic government. I hate to say so, but in my teaching experience at Dhaka University over the last 40 years, I've been covering a lot of literature based on American and Western material that deals with global insurgency and terrorism. I've been teaching international security for the last 40 years until I retired 2 years ago. And I just can't help, quote to you a few points that you might find useful as information. Two of the most important experts on insurgency in the Western world. There was Brian Jenkins in the United Kingdom, and there was Byrd O'Neill in the United States, whose books have been used extensively in American military institutions and also in British, advanced colleges like in Oxford, where there is a Department of War Studies. Now, these two gentlemen, especially Byrd O'Neill, who is an American, had drawn out models of insurgency and global terrorism, what we call the typology of terrorism. He has dealt with such typology materials like the Marxist insurgency, the Leninist typology. But there is an interesting third category of terrorism. It's called the urban terrorist option. Now, when you look at the urban terrorist option, it really focuses on the role of a so-called democratic political group that moves away from its original commitment to democracy and in operational process really borrows the state institutions as its means to perpetuate a fascist rule. Urban terrorism includes the role of a foreign power, normally a powerful foreign power which offers the intelligence, which offers the inspiration and the literature to promote new ideas of coercion. In the context of Bangladesh, unfortunately, over the last 10 years, we have had a total manipulation of institutions, political institutions. These institutions have been subjected to so much impositions that the continuity of their existence as, democratically sustainable structures have vanished. What is the qualitative difference between Bangladesh and the United States, for example? Why is it that the Americans are so concerned about Bangladesh's future democracy? Is it just the American national interest based on geopolitics? No, that's not true. If that would be true, the United States would not have enjoyed the confidence of this entire Pacific rim. If you look from Korea southwards into Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and then into South Asia, you look at all these countries that continue across the Middle East. There is an entire crescent of countries that border China and other totalitarian regimes, authoritarian regimes, which enjoy American protection. This has sustained for over the last 60 years. Why is it that America wins the confidence of all these countries which are actually democracies? They were authoritarian governments, but gradually East Asia and South Asian countries have gone into democratic practice and have also prospered, and they have maintained one common theme, a close relationship of alliance with the United States. The fact that America has so many problems, so many contradictions, and so many examples that you can cite of its failures. But on the whole, the Americans have maintained their own process of internal media freedom. Even President Trump faces a process of rejection, in spite of the fact that it's most likely that in 2024 he'll probably be elected. Even if he's elected, there are great chances that he will be denied the presidency. Now, in Bangladesh, the most sad part in this media establishment is that highly professional, educated people, including former bureaucrats, they come in the media and just as a matter of habitual obedience, or what you call establishment orchestration. These are terms that are used in political science. A habitual obedience is the process by which you just parrot the way the leader wants you to say. For 3 terms now, this structure, which you call a government, but I would rather call a regime, I would even go to the extent of suggesting, I wouldn't say it in words, but suggesting what perhaps you can imagine, that this regime has subjected the whole country into a type of establishment orchestration which might even unfold in the future. Many of us are very worried that can we really get any success out of the American, effort and the Western effort? I tell you, and I think I am echoing the sentiments of our leaders here, that the Western world will not let it go away so easy this time. We will inshallah see the birth of a new democratic culture in this country, where the BNP will hopefully play the most important and the most powerful we will see the dawning of a process because it has started very effectively. The United States might find a challenge that, you have the Chinese, you have the Russians, and even the Indians, offering tacit support to this government and its future. But they don't matter because the two countries that we call big powers, China and Russia, they are themselves known for their gross violation of human rights. We know what stands they have taken in the United Nations on the Rohingya issue. The entire world recognizes their duplicity. And as far as India is concerned, it is self-defeating. It is unfortunate that India, which is a great democracy by itself, has to take a stand where it really doesn't support the process of true, free and fair elections. So I am hoping for a new dawn. And unfortunately, although this government is planning to even suffocate the media and force another effort at elections, I think this government lacks the consciousness that it cannot repeat the same game continuously for all times to come. There is extremely high degree of consciousness. BNP has done an excellent job so far to raise the level of the movement. It is really moving in a pace where the climax will build up. We cannot expect early and quick results. That will really burn us out. Let us hope that the BNP leadership will maintain its confidence. The fact that millions and millions of people look up at the opposition as the BNP for the future of the country. When you walk across the bazaars, when you go to the restaurants, people silently wonder and pray that there will be change. And I think in the next 3 or 4 months, we are building towards the climax. It may not be so easily visible. It may just be that we sometimes get frustrated when we see every day the parroting in the media, the lies that come out in the television news media. I feel sorry for those people. I feel really sorry. You live only one life. And I wish I could ask them, these people who go on parroting such lies, these retired diplomats, retired bureaucrats who go on serving as advisors for 10, 14 years, unending process of deceiving their own souls, cheating their own health, and really ending up dying. I don't want to use an adjective, but these people will die uncared, repentant, and perhaps when they breathe their last breath, they will seek forgiveness from Almighty Allah. Our greatest consolation is that whatever the sufferings, my dear friends, we are standing for the truth. We are standing with Almighty Allah. God will help us. And with these few words, I'll just end here. Thank you so much for your patience.